Hello my friends and welcome back to Meerkat Musings. I'm your host Ben, aka Daft Tyrone, coming at you with my first video of 2025. Welcome to 2025. Welcome to a very wet 2025 so far here in my particular corner of the UK. Right here down in Essex, we are watching as much of the rest of the country gets snow. In fact, much of the rest of Essex has seen snow, but where I am, it's managed to be curiously absent. Now, this might actually be, in many regards, a good thing. Some people really don't mind snow, some people really can't stand it. I'm sort of on the fence to a point with snow. I like to watch it settle. It's lovely to watch as it falls. And that kind of look of freshly laid snow is quite beautiful. But if you have to be in it quite regularly, it can rapidly become a chore. And of course, it's cold, very cold. So you have to take the rough with the smooth with that one. And perhaps it's actually better that it hasn't snowed. Although what we have had here in my little corner of the world is rain. Lots and lots of rain. So we haven't escaped the bad weather. It's still quite cold and it's wet. And one could argue that's actually worse in some ways, as it becomes much harder to get warm again. But anyway, I'm not going to do a long-winded video rant about the weather because that's just absurd. What else has been going on in Meerkatland? Well, not a great deal really, other than being quite busy at work, which is both great and frustrating at the same time. It's taken it out of me, I must admit, having a return to something vaguely resembling normal, having lots of customers in the shop, left, right and centre. Where there's been two of us, we've sometimes had a bit of a challenge to juggle all the people that have been in and out of the store. And there have been, the odd occasions where we'll have to loan trade during this period, which is, officially the January sale period. And loan trading during that spell brings the potential for increased stress. It's one thing in the build up to Christmas. In December, you can get away with it because it's relatively quiet. No one's out shopping for bathrooms in the build up to Christmas. But everyone looks for a deal post Christmas. Everyone comes out in January looking for a sale because everyone is doing sales, and you don't want to be too understaffed in that particular spell. And we have been a bit understaffed, so we've had people left, right and centre. And it's been a bit of a juggling match sometimes. And it's been a bit frustrating because you do your best to kind of prime customers and prepare customers for price points and that kind of thing. You can spend several hours with people. And this has happened to both me and my manager. And then they can decide not to buy. And okay, that's their prerogative. But when you try to contact them to try and move things forward and they just completely blank you, that's a bit rude. I mean, I get it because it can be a very uncomfortable conversation for the customer, but the courtesy of saying, thank you, but we're looking elsewhere, as opposed to keeping you hanging on, would be, it would be appreciated. As a salesperson, it would definitely be appreciated. And, I'm guilty myself as a customer of sometimes blanking contact that I don't want or feel uncomfortable with. So am I a hypocrite? Yeah, I'll admit that. But I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to kind of be better than that, which is all one can do in all walks of life, really, isn't it? All we can try and do in any given set of circumstances is to be better than we were the previous day, which is some good advice I received from someone that I actually found was rather awkward as a manager, but that was a bit of advice that I did appreciate and that I've been trying to do. It's a process. It's not always an easy process, but it's a process that I'm trying to do. What else has been going on? Well, we've got some exciting times ahead with the stars, literally with the stars. Well, I say stars, it's actually the planets around us. They are, well, people are calling it a planetary alignment. It's not an alignment in the sense that you see in movies where all the planets line up in a row in a neat sort of fashion. But nonetheless, there will be, I think, something like 6 planets will be in the night sky and in the same confined patch of the night sky in towards the end of January. Now, 4 of these planets will also be visible with the naked eye. You're going to have Venus, which is the brightest star in the sky. You'll have Jupiter, which again is very clear, very obvious. Mars has that little kind of reddish tinge to it, so you can't really miss Mars. And Saturn will also be visible in the sky as well. And in the same patch of sky, albeit not visible to the naked eye, you'll have Uranus and Neptune as well. So if you have a decent telescope, you'll be able to actually see all in one place and all in the same shot of the camera, so to speak, 6 planets, which is pretty incredible, isn't it? And it's a wonderful stellar spectacle, which is quite humbling at the same time. It's a strange feeling to look up from this little ball that we're on and see other worlds. We are literally watching other planets with the naked eye, which is, as I say, it feels kind of incredible to do that, and it's lovely, it's beautiful, and these worlds, they've captivated humankind for millennia. We are literally looking at the same stuff that our ancestors will have looked up at in awe and wonder. It's awe-inspiring, and it's sort of comforting in a strange sort of way as well. So on my walks home from work, in looking up at the night sky, yes, I've been indulging in a bit of stargazing. And if you keep an eye out for it, it's not been published yet, but over at my website, Meerkat Musings, I'll be sharing a few pictures that I've taken, a few bad pictures, I'll admit, of the night sky with some of the planets in view. Because I think it's a sight worth recording. It's a sight worth noting. So that's what I've been doing. Other than that, I can't really claim that things have been too crazy. Christmas was relatively quiet, as it tends to be for me these days. I got what I kind of wanted and needed out of it, and truthfully, for the most part, what I want and need is not really present related these days. I'm not someone who particularly needs or wants stuff. There's only one thing that I really need. If I say need, there's only one thing that I want this year, and that is the Nintendo Switch 2, which has not been officially announced yet. Well, Nintendo have announced they're working on a new console. They announced that back in... Well, they officially announced it back in May 2024. They had kind of... There had been rumours rumbling around prior to that they were doing something. And we're now into the 8th year of the original Nintendo Switch. So it's hardly surprising that Nintendo are looking to do something new. The Switch has done really, really well for them. It's continued to be a strong console in terms of sales. It's undoubtedly made them a huge amount of money. So you would think the logical next step would be to build upon this premise. And the rumours do seem to suggest that the next console will be basically a more powerful Switch. But of course, it's still just conjecture at this point, and one of the things that Nintendo have been almost frustratingly good at is not putting information out there themselves. There have been so many alleged leaks and rumours, and some of this is about the design of the console, some of it's about the hardware, the nitty-gritty of it, as it were. It's all leaking out there in various ways, And you just think, come on, Nintendo, announce something, say something that, put these rumours to bed one way or the other and give fans an idea as to when they can see this new console. But Nintendo just remain tight-lipped about it for whatever reason. I mean, as a corporation, they've always marched to the beat of their own drum, and that can be a good thing. That can also be a very frustrating thing as a fan, because they'll do things that just don't make obvious sense to anyone else. In the build-up to announcing their new console, what Nintendo have done, rather than actually announce the console, they have announced a music app for smartphones, which no one asks for. They announced an alarm clock, a Nintendo-themed alarm clock that no one asked for. And I think it was within that period that they announced a Nintendo museum, which is kind of fascinating, I'll admit, but it's all the way over in Japan, and therefore, for a lot of fans, inaccessible. And again, no one really asked for that. People want information about the new console. All things being equal, Nintendo have said that they will announce it in the first quarter of this year, and they have strongly suggested it will be released this year. So they need to get on with announcing information and giving people ideas as to what it's like and what to expect from it. What are the launch games going to be? What is going to be the plan going forward? They have announced, and this is good, that it will be backwards compatible with existing Nintendo Switch games, and you'll be able to transfer over your Nintendo accounts and that kind of thing, which is hugely important, because of course a lot of people would be extraordinarily displeased if basically they had to rebuild their libraries at great cost. And I don't know if Nintendo have announced this or this is just one of the rumours, but I think the existing Joy-Con controllers will be compatible with the new Switch, albeit you can't dock them to the new Switch, because the new Switch, if it is a Switch, again, it's all hints and rumours, is allegedly going to be bigger. It's going to feature magnetic controllers and various new features, and who knows. But Nintendo need to hurry up and say something themselves. If nothing else, just to put the rumours to bed, because they're not going to stop until there is actually an announcement. So that sounds kind of whingy, doesn't it? I mean, I am getting steadily impatient with all this. I want to know what to expect. I want to know when we're going to see this console. I want an idea as to the price point. And I want to kind of prepare for it, so to speak. But a lot of that is out of my hands until Nintendo actually pull the trigger and say, we are doing A, B, and C. Of course, there are bigger issues in the world right now. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past few months, you'll know that soon we'll see the return of Donald Trump to the White House. Any day now, he will take the White House and become president for a second time. Needless to say, a lot of people, myself included, look ahead with bated breath as to what that holds for the rest of the world. It seems very clear and obvious that Elon Musk is pulling a lot of the strings this time through his finances. I mean, Trump's even given him a position within his government. And ironically, this is something to do with about controlling government efficiency or something like that. So to tackle inefficiency in government, Musk, who has never actually come up with ideas himself, he's just kind of taken ideas and run them into the ground, is being given a new government department. And you're just kind of left thinking, that's insane. But then again, Trump has a history of business failure himself. So one, failure of a businessman to another, in many respects, they're looking after each other. And for all the wrong reasons, you just feel. So uncertainty lies ahead. I'm actually planning to do a blog post about Musk's increased efforts to influence politics, because he's been sounding off a lot about UK politics as well. And it's scary as to the degree to which he is trying to influence global affairs. He's not remotely qualified to actually do any of this. He doesn't have the skill sets. His record when he's managed to take over companies is that he's created huge problems for them. I mean, look at Twitter, which has become a cesspit, and also he's managed it very, very badly from a business point of view. Same thing with SpaceX and Tesla. He's not actually a very good businessman. People think he is. He's not. And he's just kind of acquired money through making deals, but he's not actually done anything to earn it. And yet people rave about him. He's not rave worthy. And yet Trump, wants to give him a part to play in the US government. And that should be setting off alarm bells everywhere. But it's not. Well, I mean, it is, but not with the right people. So it's all a bit mad as to what we can expect, I think, from 2025. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world for various reasons. What are we going to see play out with Ukraine? Trump has insisted that he could end the war with with a phone call, but on whose terms? Will Ukraine be forced to give up territory to a power-hungry dictator? Is that what Trump thinks is going to be the best way to end the war? What's going to stop Putin from doing it again in a few years? He's already basically kind of threatened to defund NATO, which would make the world a more vulnerable place. So there's that, to destabilise the world for whatever reason. I mean, Trump insists, that he's not in Putin's pocket, but he makes these noises and sound bites which make it sound very much like he is. And it would be of no surprise to anyone if he was. So there's that. There's the ongoing Israel-Gaza situation, of course. I'm making this into a very deep video, and I didn't mean to do that, but when you're looking ahead at 2025, you can't ignore certain things. So there's all of that going on. As to the positives, well, you know what? It sounds cynical. I'm struggling to think of positives. That's not because there aren't any positives. It's just because my brain is tired. And right now, I'm just not able to quite click into gear and come up with them. Well, you know what? We'll go back a few pages, as it were. The Nintendo Switch 2, or whatever it is, will be a positive, for me at least, as and when we finally see it. And moving into 2025, I feel, I don't know, I mean, in terms of say, personal relationships and that kind of thing, I feel in a healthy place. I think my wife and I are perhaps stronger than we've ever been in some respects. We've come through 20 years of being together as of last year, which is crazy, isn't it? I mean, I think that's a good milestone for a lot of relationships these days. It's 20 years, 15 years married. So that's a great positive, and I look forward to seeing what this year brings in that regard. We've got some theatre trips planned for later in the year, which should be quite entertaining. And my daughter will continue to inspire me as she continues to grow as a person. We have a great bond. We have a lot of great banter, and I'm very proud of her in pretty much any and every conceivable way. She is the apple of my eye, and I don't care who knows that. I'm so joyful that she's a part of my world. I can't conceive of a world without my daughter in it. I think that world would be a much duller, greyer place than it happens to be. So, I think that's kind of everything, really. Just my first video ramble of 2025, and it is indeed a ramble, without question. spinning off in all sorts of different directions, as I am wont to do. So I hope that you all have a very, very good 2025, that it proves to be prosperous and successful for you in all the ways that matter most to you, and all the ways that you need, and ideally in the ways that you want, as long as those two things, of course, overlap in a positive way. That's it from me. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.